I always wondered what it would be like if I was credentialed, man, and was able to talk to the Detroit Lions. And I got my first taste of it today, man. Shout out to John Macron, the doc, man, who asked the tough questions. Usually it's him and Dave Burkett. They ask some pretty tough questions. But today I had heard about this question before I even heard the question. So I hadn't watched the press conference. We live stream on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday on Spike Kool-Aid, Syndicate Sports Detroit. You guys can subscribe to that channel for live interactions and live streams and videos. So I didn't hear about it. I wanted to save it to then. And I heard it, man, and I got some thoughts. Let's take a look at Dan Campbell in the press conference today, kind of snapping a little bit at John Macron from Detroit Lions on SI. Let's take a listen.
Now all of a sudden, man, you're good. You got times, you got timeouts, but you get in that type of game, it gets really hard.
With just how good the offense was last year under Ben Johnson, people are just wondering, myself just included, would it have been feasible just to, even I know John's a different coordinator, but would it have been feasible to just, Jared talked about changes in communication, there wasn't a lot of pre-snap motion. Would it have been feasible just to run the exact same offense as last year?
What are you asking? What did Jared say?
I'm saying your offense last year.
No, you said something Jared said, so let me hear it.
Changes in communication.
Yeah, but you said something about emotions and
Yeah, I'm saying that would it have been feasible to, and people are wondering, the offense looks drastically different than it does last year. Would it have been feasible to just exactly run the exact same offense?
So after one game, tell me what it looks like that's drastically different.
Not a lot of pre-snap motions. Explosive plays weren't there. Wasn't as creative. Wasn't as.
You didn't see any pre-snap motions in that game?
As much as we've seen before.
I want you to go back and look at all of our motions, pre-snap motions, fast motion shifts on the road.
All right, and that was the comment from Dan Campbell. You could see everything about him. His body language began to change. And to me, this question has been blown out of proportion. A lot of John has been getting a lot of flack on Twitter for it. And Twitter is just an absolute cesspool. I'm literally only on it for Lions information. But I didn't think the question was horrendous. I thought it was a decent question. And Dan Campbell's response to me is deeper than the question. If you heard it and you paid attention, he was stuck on what Jared Goff said. He was stuck on what Jared Goff said, and you could tell his demeanor, his body language changed. He went from fiddling with the paper to his hands on the podium. And I think, in my opinion, Dan got stuck on what did Jared say? What did Jared say? And then at the end, you said, Dan said that, well, you didn't see any pre-snap motion. And I don't remember John saying that it was no pre-snap motion. It was just not as much as it was before. And I understand. I think that at the end of the day, we're all human and we all want to win. Like Dan Campbell earlier in a press conference said that nothing drives them more than losing. Everyone hates losing. That's how I am too. I don't understand. I don't know if y'all like that or you just want to enjoy the ride. I hate losing in every facet. Hate it. And that's what drives the Detroit Lions is losing, right? So I think that Dan, to me, took the question. I don't know. I don't think the reaction was worth the question, if that makes sense. So let's listen to it again because I want to make sure that I heard everything correctly. Let's take a look again at the what Dan Campbell had to say, and notice how like his everything about him starts to change, man. The body language starts to change and everything. Let's take a look again at that clip.
I believe we get in there, defense gets a stop. Now,
Just how good the offense was.
you get in that type of game, it gets really hard.
With just how good the offense was last year under Ben Johnson, people are just wondering, myself just included, would it have been feasible just to, even I know John's a different coordinator, but would it have been feasible to just, Jared talked about changes in communication, there wasn't a lot of pre-snap motion. Would it have been feasible just to run the exact same offense as last year?
What are you asking? What did Jared say?
I'm saying your offense last year.
No, you said something Jared said, so let me hear it.
Changes in communication.
Yeah, but you said something about emotions and
Yeah, I'm saying that would it have been feasible to, and people are wondering, the offense looks drastically different than it does last year. Would it have been feasible to just exactly run the exact same offense?
So after one game, tell me what it looks like that's drastically different.
Not a lot of pre-snap motions. Explosive plays weren't there. Wasn't as creative. Wasn't as.
You didn't see any pre-snap motions in that game?
As much as we've seen before.
I want you to go back and look at all of our motions, pre-snap motions, fast motion shifts on the road.
All right, so again, to me, man, like I said, coach was a little chippy. He was a little chippy there. And I just wanted to make sure I heard it correctly. John didn't say that there was no pre-snap motions, just said it wasn't as many. And we all thought the same thing. We literally every single fan had the same complaint. Like, where was the creativity, even from the receivers, right? So I don't know if he got caught up on what Jared said or that, because he kept going back to, well, what did Jared? You said something that Jared said, so I don't know if he thought maybe Jared spoke out of what did he say, or did he leak some information? I have no idea, but I don't think personally that the question warranted the response. But of course, we just came off a loss. But shout out to Scott Barrett off Twitter. I wanted to show you this. Scott Barrett says, really not sure what Dan Campbell is talking about here. The Lions used motion on 66 of their dropbacks in road games last year, which was 6 most. That fell to just 23% last week, which is the third fewest of all NFL teams. And so he goes down. He gives credit to the person that put the stats together. So he continues, Detroit Lions road games, because that was the specific question. All motion, 66%, which was 6 in the NFL. Pre-snap motion, which was 30.8%, 21st in the NFL. During the snap motion, which means that as the snap is taking place, 35.2%, which was 3rd in the NFL. Shifts, 2.4%, which was 4th in the NFL. Now we compare that to week 1. Yes, it is one game, but the question was, could we have continued the offense from last year? Week 1 last year, or last week, all motion, 23.3% compared to 66. That was 30th in the NFL. Pre-snap motion, 9.3% compared to 30.8, which is 30th in the NFL. During the snap, which is 21st after one game, it was 35 last year, which was 3rd in the NFL, and shifts were 4th last year, and we had 0 shifts in game 1. So, like I said, I think Dan was more upset he got focused in and lasered in the comments, the comment section. He got lasered in on the comments about golf. It was like, well, no, hold on, back it up. You said something about golf. What did golf say now? And I don't know if that's what and then I think at the end of his comments, he kind of just snapped a little bit, right? He's been hearing, I don't think John was wrong. I actually thought the question was good. I don't think the response warranted what Coach had to say, but I think you can see even before this, and when the question was being asked, Dan was jovial. He was smiling. He was, joking back and forth. And then his whole body language changed in that moment. So I enjoy this type of stuff. If I was credentialed, you know what would happen to me? Y'all remember Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when Jazzy Jeff would get thrown out of the house? That would be me. They would hate to see me coming. I would be like the Grant Cohen of Detroit Lions YouTubers / credential people. What I want to know, what you want to know, I can't ask, right? I can't ask. I would be I would have lit Brad up about the pass rush. I would have lit him up. Not every question, but a lot of questions would have been about Broderick. A lot of questions would have been about this pass rush. A lot of questions would be with his fascination with the secondary. A lot of questions, how many DTs do we need, right? All of that stuff. But what I do appreciate and about what they do that I can't do is they have to walk a fine line of keeping the relationship open with the team so that they are not shunned or not nobody wants to talk to them, because this is something without them we don't get this information. So I could not do that. I am too much. I'm not saying that these guys aren't fans, but I'm too much of a fan. There is so much emotion in my delivery, and I'm too much of a fan to be credentialed, because I want to know the answers to the questions y'all have. questions that we legitimately can't get answers to. Why did you cut Zadarius Smith? All that, like that type of stuff that I know that they can't answer. So I don't think that the question warranted the response. I do think that Dan is frustrated, right? He's been hearing a lot of it. The radio station got on him. It's been a tough couple of days. It's been a tough couple of days, man. The media is starting to turn, but it was something that Dan said today that I appreciated. He said he was asked about the fans' reaction to the loss and how bad it was. And he said that he didn't see anything wrong with it, that is the new standard. We've risen the standard. This is what they expect now. So if we don't give them what they expect, then yes, they're going to react like that. And it's up to them to get back to keep those standards that high. I love that answer. And I'm going to be real with you. I think there's a possibility that Dan Campbell could outlast Brad Holmes. I'm going to tell you. I even saw growth in Dan Campbell during the Green Bay game. Who all thought that he was going to go for it when he took the points? When he kicked that field goal to take the points, when we were in Green Bay territory, it was in the first half. Who else thought he was going to go for it? Now, of course, the season is early, and Dan Campbell is going to stay Dan Campbell, and he's going to still gamble. But we can see growth as well. So I think that Dan, I could see Dan outlasting Brad 100%, because unlike Brad, Dan takes responsibility for the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think this thing was ugly. The dialogue, I don't think he warranted the response. I think it was a good question. It's what the fans were wondering. Where is the offense at? You know what's disheartening, man, is that nobody has a spine anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? I understand that the media people have to tread lightly, if you will, but I don't know if people just like to watch football, they like to dress up and like to paint their beard blue, or what, or do they want to win games? Do they want to win the Super Bowl? Because we've won games. I've painted my beard blue. We have yet to win a Super Bowl. So I don't have a problem with it. John is getting crucified today on every social media platform. And all I could see was myself. I was like, dang, man. So this is what this feels like to be the public enemy number one, because you had a take, or you had something you pushed against the establishment. I thought it was a decent question. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Be nice, all right? Be nice, because John's a good guy, and he gives up. Without him, we couldn't do this type of stuff, right? Without those guys out there, especially the guys, trust me, man, you want somebody asking the tough questions, because it's not enough of that. That's what's wrong with YouTube right now. YouTube sports media, man. It's too many fluffies, you know what I'm saying? That just want to be liked instead of asking the right questions. Like I said, I can't do what he do, because they would be like, oh my God. They would be like, get out of here. They would tell me that they were meeting here, but they were really meeting in the basement somewhere. And I'm like, where's or you know what they would do? They would tell me that the presser was at 8:30, but it was really at 7:30. And I show up and there's nobody in there. That's what would happen with me. That's if I don't get, thrown out by Dan himself. So anyway, this channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. It's because of your support I get to do what I do. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.